Welcome to the Disneyville podcast, episode 17.
We had to look up what number it was because we had pre-filmed, pre-recorded our episodes from before our big trip. So it's just kind of funny. I'm like, gosh, it's been a while since we've sat down and filmed. We took the week of Halloween off.
I think a month. It's been at least a month. So we are in our new space. It's very echoey. It's not...
Hopefully the sounds okay. It's a work in progress. And if you're watching the video version... We've got, that's not attached to the wall. That's also not where that's going. There's going to be Disney stuff behind us. So it's very much a work in progress, but we're here.
It's kind of
fun.
We're
using the space. We're very excited.
You get to see the interim thing. Because, we could do one more in the old way of doing it. But I was like, no. Let's go. Let's get it set up. Let's just do it. Well, hopefully this will be the only one because we'll have 2 weeks then to get this all finished and wrapped up.
I wouldn't bet on. If I was a betting man, I would say that there might be one more, but we'll see.
Who knows? But anyway, it's kind of fun. So sorry that's a little echoey, but it is kind of fun being here in the new space because this is a big part of the reason why we got this. So we could actually have a dedicated space to this very podcast.
Yes, that's true. So here we are. I am very excited for this episode.
We're going negative, folks.
Well, but I'll be curious because some of the hot takes I think are positive. So, well, there you go. There's our topic for today. We're talking about unpopular opinions or hot takes about the Disney parks.
Just Disney World, though. Just Disney World, right?
Yes. I mean, I haven't read through what a lot of you guys submitted yet, but that was the idea, is that it was Disney World.
So, we put out on our social media at Disneyville Podcast that we were going to do this, and Jessica started reading through some of the comments. I have not read any of them yet,
gosh, you guys.
But you were saying they're so fun. I cannot wait to read some of these.
I don't know that fun would be the term. I would just be like, some of them are really surprising, and some of them have made me think, and I'm like, I think they're right.
Yeah?
So we're going to dive in.
Changing hearts and minds today.
That's right. So we're going to share your guys's, which is really going to be the bulk of this because those are the most
guys's.
Yours is guys's. And then we'll share ours at the end. I'm curious to hear yours.
None of mine are that good. I was writing down my list. I'm like, yeah, they're all right. They're not amazing. Okay, so
they're lukewarm takes. They're not even hot takes. All right.
They're tepid takes. Tyler's tepid takes. Okay.
TM. Okay, we're going to start really strong here. Okay, Disney is our cure said Joffreys is better than Starbucks.
Ooh, I feel like that depends entirely on what you're getting.
I was going to say, there's a lot to talk about here. I think Joffrey's Hot Coffee is very good. On par with Starbucks, and when in Rome, right? It's the coffee that Disney has. Of course, they also have Starbucks, but generally Joffrey's is the coffee provider for Disney, as far as I understand it. And so I feel like when in Rome, the black coffee is just as good. Why not get it? But when you start going into the cold coffees, I feel like, I don't know. It depends on what you get.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, but those are not iced coffees I could get every single day. The shaken Jamaican is a lot, and I like caffeine, obviously, but it's a lot even for me. So I feel like if I were to get that a couple days in a row in Disney, it'd be too much. Yeah. I would have to throw some Starbucks in the middle.
I know. I feel like it's very acidic to me, which I think a lot of is that the one I'm thinking of, that it's almost like
the cold coffees?
Yeah.
Because I feel like their black coffee is
Wait, does the shaken Jamaican is the one that has the it has creamer in it and stuff?
No, you can get creamer in it, but I think I've gotten it for you.
Just the black?
It's just
okay,
black.
yeah. Then
but
that's
I think
it
is a little bit sweet.
Yeah, I don't like
there's
that
something
one.
in it.
Not a fan.
Yeah, you are not. Every time I've ever gotten, I'm like, try it, and you're like, no, I don't.
But
well, you try it, and you're like, yep, I hate it.
Yeah, but Joffrey's hot black coffee, huge fan.
Yeah.
Any of their different blends, I haven't had a bad one yet.
The other thing though is in the rooms, the coffee they have is Joffrey's, but it's never strong enough. And I don't know if that's the coffee pot, if it's just that there's not enough coffee grounds in the thing. There's a lot of moving parts there. I don't know which is to blame, but it's never quite as good as you want it in the room.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Compared to at an actual
But
kiosk.
You can order Joffrey's online, and that, oh my gosh, is so good. That's a special treat. We'll order a bag of whole bean coffee from every so often. It is so good. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, I own a travel agency, and the agents really gotten involved here. And I'm looking through, I think some of them have submitted 4 or 5 apiece.
I'm pretty sure one of them submitted 12.
Okay, so I'll go through a couple of these here.
Side note, his travel agency is called People Mover Travel.
Yes, yeah, and if you are interested in going to Disney World or really anywhere in the world, we're happy to help you, and it's all completely free to you. So go to peoplemovertravel.com or scan this QR code right here.
# sponsored.
So some of the
I
agents
haven't seen a dime by this sponsor.
So this one is totally true. This is Stephanie, one of the agents. She said there are too many rides like Dumbo. So the Flying Carpets of Aladdin, Astro Orbiter, etc. There's the one in Animal Kingdom.
Yep,
the
the one
Triceratops spin. But yeah, I would agree with that. They're all the same ride, just slightly different things. But that said, having a young kid,
I was just about to say,
she wants to ride all of them.
And she's, especially when she was a little bit younger and she genuinely was too short for some of the bigger rides. Now she's getting, but it is nice to have that option at every park. So I get why they did it, but I could see why people would be like, okay, like these are literally the same ride. Copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. Yeah. It's interesting though that Magic Kingdom has Dumbo, well, Double Dumbo.
Double Dumbo.
Double Dumbo, that was fun to say. And the Flying Carpets of Aladdin. What's it actually called? Magic Carpets of Flying.
The Magic Carpets of Aladdin.
Doesn't it sound weird to say though? Like I could picture reading it, but saying it sounded wrong.
Yeah, that sounds right.
This may be the funniest one I've read. Jen Davis said, I don't like characters. Just so simple. I have to say, I agree again with the kid angle. Genevieve loves meeting them. It's exciting. It's less awkward because you've got a kid that's like kind of doing part of the interacting. So the attention's off of you.
Yes.
But when it was just us visiting, like especially like pre-kids, I don't like meeting the characters. It's awkward.
Trying to have a conversation with like, all right, well.
You're like, well, we both know you're pretending.
You're 23 and I know that because
at the time I was also 23.
So
hello, friend. Yeah, I totally understand that viewpoint, you know? And then you feel like you almost have to overperform, especially if it's a masked character where they can't talk. So you're like doing your best performance, like trying to like interact with them, with the kid. Like it's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot of pressure.
A lot of hate for the country bears, just across the board. A lot of hate for the country bears. Wow. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I love the country bears.
Well, I don't know that I would say I love them, but we have was it the most recent time or a recent trip? We went with some friends, we met up with them and we all watched country bears together.
Yeah.
And that was such a happy memory. And we were all just giggling at how ridiculous parts of it are.
Air conditioned and there was no wait.
Yeah. Those two things right there. It's pretty surprising that it is still there in the iteration it's in. That's all. Like considering how many things they get rid of and then, you know what I mean? Okay, Jackie 36 said, Spirit jerseys are not flattering.
I mean, there's a reason I don't wear them.
Yeah, you're very concerned. Yeah, I would agree. I think they really are built for comfort, which I am 1,000,000% into. So I own my few Spirit jerseys, but I stopped buying any more. Not that I would ever need more than like the 2 or 3 I have because they're really just not. I feel like I don't know what body type it would look like wonderful on, just the way the shoulders and arms are cut and where it's like bigger here and then it tapers in kind of, which is odd for any body type.
Where do those come from? I've never seen like that style of shirt outside of Disney.
Well, I think it's more of like a Spirit jersey. I think it's like it's a real type of clothing. You know what I mean? But
like, is it like
sports?
Tyler, is that what it's from?
You and I both don't know.
But I'm like, that's my question.
Assume.
I don't know. Like NFL teams and stuff had like that? Like, is that where it started? Because they're huge in Disney, but I don't know that I've seen I don't know any Spirit jerseys.
Yeah, let us know if you guys know
Disney. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see like Indianapolis Colts Spirit jerseys. I feel like like how did that become a thing?
I don't know.
Like I can't picture like
I'd just rather have a regular long sleeve tee.
I can't picture like high schools like having it. Like where did that come
from?
Where did that style come from?
Because it really isn't flattering, but they are comfy. So, you know, but I always size up once or twice, like anytime I bought them, because I don't know.
Yeah.
A fitted Spirit jersey and it's fitted in the wrong spots. Like
short in all the long places, long in all the short places. Jasif said, we need more breakfast food variety. That is.
Yes.
This, wherever it is on the screen. That.
Oh,
where the screenshot is going to be on the screen. There is not near enough breakfast food options, especially quick grab and go ones.
Oh my gosh.
No, not even that. Sit down, grab and go. There's not enough breakfast food in Walt Disney World.
Anywhere. I really think in the quick service. I feel like there's a decent amount of sit down, not in the parks.
But I don't want to sit down for breakfast in the parks.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. There are plenty of sit down. I agree. There needs to be more quick service. Yeah. It's crazy. Like the fact that I can like on one hand do all of the parks. There's just not many, especially Magic Kingdom. I remember it being a nightmare. My parents were there a few years ago. My mom eats gluten-free, and finding her something for breakfast, because we didn't have a sit-down reservation that was gluten-free. I don't think we found anything. I think we found yogurt, maybe.
There's not even many sit-down places either.
Yeah, like a lot of them are like carrot. Yeah, you'd have to be at a resort almost.
Right, because in the parks, like in Magic
Crystal
Kingdom.
Palace, Be Our Guest.
Yeah, but Be Our Guest, are they even doing breakfast right now?
I don't know. I feel like they're constantly changing.
I don't think they are right now, because they're doing the prefix lunch and dinner menu. So I don't think they're doing breakfast. They were for a while, and that was good. And it was actually a quick service breakfast, which was great. Yeah,
so I agree. The breakfast.
Does Animal Kingdom have any?
Starbucks. You just have to go to Creature Comforts. Creature Comforts.
Hollywood Studios has the Starbucks, and they have the like Woody's Lunchbox breakfast.
Yeah, which is, side note, 12 out of 10.
Epcot
do recommend.
Doesn't have any breakfast options. Sit down.
They have their Starbucks.
That's it. So there's a Starbucks in every park.
I think there's like little bits here and there you can find, but it's
and the
just
lines are always so long at Starbucks in the parks.
Yeah. There's random kiosks, like we've been to like Westward Ho and, little things like that. But it needs to be improved upon. Disney, we know you're not listening, but if you happen to be, please, we all want more breakfast. Take my money. I just want a breakfast Sammy. Magically Maisie said, Moana Journey of Water would have looked better in Animal Kingdom. I mean, we haven't seen it yet. Yeah. We're seeing it in a few weeks.
I haven't even I've avoided any videos or pictures or anything.
I don't want to be, I'm very excited to just see it for the first time on my own, or well, together, I guess, but yeah, I want my own experience. But the pictures I've seen, it does kind of seem like it would have made more sense in.
And I wonder if it'll make more sense once everything is done, because the whole idea is they have these new neighborhoods and stuff like that, but I can totally see it. It totally would have worked. Pick it up, move it to Animal Kingdom, and it would have worked anywhere.
Yeah. Right. Wouldn't make sense at at Hollywood. Wouldn't have made sense at Magic Kingdom. I guess Epcot, but definitely Animal Kingdom. Yeah. So it is interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. This one's a very hot take.
Not lukewarm, not tepid.
No, it's scalding. It says Peter Pan's flight is not worth the hype, especially for the wait time. Now, I agree with the second half of that, not the first part, because I do love Peter Pan, but I do not know why. That line is always 3 hours.
Out of all the rides there,
I'm not waiting more than 20 minutes, 25. That's the most I'm ever waiting for.
That is a lightning lane only.
I cannot fathom why people wait 3 hours for that ride.
Well, if you've never, think about this. I think about this a lot. If you are going and it is the only time you're going to go, and you're we are in Magic Kingdom one day, we've got young kids, and they want to see Peter. I mean, that's one of the most popular rides. You just have to do it.
If you have one day in
that
Magic
is a
Kingdom,
lightning lane, worth.
If you have one day in Magic Kingdom, do not spend 3 hours in line for Peter Pan.
It is really cool.
That is the worst use of your time.
Because you're up in the air, which is unique. I mean, not for a dark ride where you're up in the air. That's cool. And they use real pixie dust to shut that bad boy. So
still not worth it.
Yeah, I do love it though. But it is, boy, it's over in a flash, and you're well, that was a huge waste of time. I literally took a screenshot of 4 comments, and 3 of the 4 say the same thing, which I found fascinating. So Kenner D, T, and Disney Mom all said, Magic Kingdom is my least favorite park. Magic Kingdom is overrated. It's always crowded and the food is mid at best. And Disney Mom said, Magic Kingdom doesn't have any good sit-down restaurants.
I'm going to take that, because the one that my next one is also says, my 4-year-old likes Epcot better than Magic Kingdom. Angel on Earth said that. That is...
interesting.
It is fascinating. Now, here's the thing. We have friends all the time that are oh, so we were staying in Tampa, or we were staying in this place, the other, and we went over to Disney for the day, and we just went to Magic Kingdom. That is a very common thing. So it is always the most busy park. It is always...
it is Disneyland. Do you know what I mean? If you think about it, if you're going to go to one and you don't often go, you're probably going to go to Magic Kingdom.
Exactly, which totally makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so I can totally get, it's the most crowded, like you said. I mean, the restaurants. Now, I don't know if there's no good sit-down restaurants. I love Skipper Canteen.
I love Be Our Guest.
But it is interesting, because I've heard recently, another one of my agents was saying her son, who's 4, I think, likes Epcot better than Magic Kingdom too.
Epcot's done a really good job of, again, we could do a whole episode about kid stuff, but they've done a really good job of, they've got a playground now. They've always done the little, scavenger hunts. They've got the passport, KidCot. Thank you. I was passport around the world. They've done a really good job of adding little things like that. They have enough rides for the kids to do. I would always love more in the countries, but that's just me. But yeah, Could see that. Kind of like Hollywood Studios is Genevieve's favorite. Easily. Hands down.
Yeah.
But the food situation at Magic Kingdom will continue to baffle me. It is their most visited park, and why they haven't, like, simple things like the Plaza. That restaurant is fine. I've never had food there that was bad, like, you know, but it's very small, which again, space constraint, I understand. But it's wild to me that they haven't changed that up at all. Because that's not like one of all the things. Like, it's pretty low on my list to, like, recommend to someone. If it were available as the only one, I'd be like, yeah, the food's not bad.
Yeah.
But it's, you know.
Yeah, they do have bottomless milkshakes, or at least they used to. And that was
baby.
awesome.
Well, and it's cool to sit, like, right there. So there's nothing wrong with the restaurant itself, but it just feels like, man, this is like Magic Kingdom. How is that restaurant still there?
Yeah,
you know?
Without any sort of update there. Yeah, that is interesting.
But Be Our Guest and Skipper Canteen, I feel like were awesome additions to the park.
Kiana Jean.F and I are about to come to fisticuffs here because this is a pretty hot take. Enchantment is 1,000,000 times better than Happily Ever After.
I took a screenshot of the same one.
We're going to have some words here. Kiana Jean.F.
Oh, boy.
I will say, Enchantment grew on me from the time we first saw it till now.
Yeah.
But it is still so much worse than Happily Ever After.
Like
I said, my biggest thing is that Happily Ever After uses the original music from the movies, whereas all of Enchantment is all like randos singing these songs in slightly different versions. And I'm like, it sounds like a studio chorus trying to redo the movie stuff. I'm like, just use the movie soundtrack. Like, that's the
Disney, you have the rights, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah. Oof.
They're going to release Disney Taylor's version. Enchantment, Taylor's version. Yeah, and I would agree. Enchantment definitely grew on me. I've found myself listening to it in the car with Genevieve from time to time. But there's something about Happily Ever After. And I don't know if it's just because we had so many years with it. And then, I don't know. But I definitely do prefer Happily Ever After. And when it came back, I sobbed. It was amazing. So
that is a hot take.
That was a scorching take. Anyone else sweating? Okay, well, this one's getting me into my fisticuffs. I don't even know if I'm using that right.
Why I oughta.
Trish Massey says, Figment is overrated, the character and the ride. Listen, you're probably right, Trish. But I do love Figment. And the ride, I mean, please, you ride the ride, which I love, and I don't think we've ever gone and not ridden Figment. It's not a mind-blowing ride, but you're not waiting for it. If I had waited 3 hours like Peter Pan's and then ridden, I'd be like, oh my gosh. But you usually just walk right on.
Figment is one of those weird things that everyone knows that it's overrated. No one's saying like, oh, it's a great ride. I don't think anybody likes the ride, but everyone loves the ride. Like, no one is not doing, like, everyone knows that it's weird and overrated and like it, but.
And yet.
Yeah.
Still love
a big part of it too is like the Disney history nerds that like the old school Epcot, like people who know like that kind of stuff love Figment from that kind of thing. But we all
like
know
once you go
bad.
back into the Dreamfinder world, yeah. But it's definitely a thing. I was very surprised by the Figment popcorn bucket debacle because I'd always liked Figment. Like we talked about it, we knew again it was kind of weird, but I didn't realize like everyone felt that way. Everyone's like, no, I love Figment.
Yeah.
No, I'm weirder than you. No. Anyway, that I think you're. Yeah, I think I agree, but I also love Figment.
Okay, Razor in the Night. My goodness, what a
Razor
Halloween-y name.
in the night.
Cheeseburger Pods at AK are thumbs down. Too much bun, not enough filling. Agreed. You know what, though? I think I talked about this recently. They did not used to be that way. I had them recently. I'm like, oh, man, I've been recommending these things forever.
All bun, no beef.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like, it used to be way more beef filling and then, you know, like a dinner roll kind of around it.
Like a
kolache. But the last time I had it, I'm like, there was like a thin little, like 3 grounds of ground beef. And then it was all bun.
3 grounds of beef.
Yeah, so I am on the page with that. I agree.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the you get the cheeseburger pods, whatever, and it comes with those chips, if you will, the potato-y things. They're so salty. Yeah. They're so salty. I eat them all every time because I bought them and I'm not going to not eat them, but they're very salty. I'm like, let me just salt my own chips. Okay.
Unsalted.
Right. Riley Alyssa said, people who spend half of their time at the resort are crazy and give me anxiety.
So here's the thing.
That's interesting.
obviously you spend so much money on the resorts, no matter which resort you're kind of going to.
Yeah.
But I'm like, make it worth spending time at the resort. And if it's one of the nicer resorts, like the ones that have like these amazing pools and stuff like that, I'm like, get your money's worth. Like, spend some time there.
Because think about it, if you were in the middle of nowhere, USA, but there was like this really cool like water parky resort, you would go just to be there. So like each resort is its own really cool destination type resort. Then add parks on top of it. It's like, wow.
Well, and I know like when my mom would go, she's now an annual pass holder, but for the longest time they weren't doing annual passes. Mm-hmm. And so she would go and she'd want to be there for, 4 or 5 nights, but she would only get 2 days worth of park tickets just to save money. So then she would spend the other, time at the resort, Disney Springs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But then that was a way to sort of save money, was to not go to the parks more than 2 days.
I think what I'm assuming she means is like, if you were there for 5 days, and you did 5-day tickets,
well, of
but
course,
you're still spending.
Yeah.
And I could see that being like, oh my gosh, like, do you feel like you're getting your money's worth? Because like you also bought these park tickets that are expensive. Like, don't you want to be in the parks all day? So I think I get what she means.
Yeah. If you have that number of tickets.
It just depends on how you tour, if you will.
All right. Do It Blondie said Epcot. This is something I agree with. Epcot needs to add back the educational parts it was known for. I know, I'm a nerd. Agreed.
Wow.
That's the kind of stuff I was talking about when we were talking about the movie that they have now. I'm like, it needs to be more about the actual countries. I want to learn something about the actual country, not why LeFou is somehow the hero of Beauty and the Beast, which he's not. That's what I want. And so I'm like, again, have Cogsworth, like in Lumiere, do a tour of France and stuff like that, but have the more educational, cultural aspect of it. And I wonder if they'll kind of bring that back as more of the countries are going to bring, those kind of, the people from those countries back, the cultural ambassadors, whatever they're called, as that program gets more and more back to where it used to be. Because I don't think all the countries, I know like half the countries have, but not all of them.
They might be getting closer to back though, but I don't know for sure.
But yeah, I totally agree. Make it more, because people like the educational stuff.
Yeah, especially maybe like grown people. But I wonder if they looked at the numbers of like, okay, Circle Vision, China, let's say. That's still educational, right? Like the beauty of China, et cetera. I wonder if they look at the numbers of these things and they're like, okay, well, no one's going to it. Or like, but if we turn it into like the France one, turn it into Beauty and the Beast, LeFou being the hero of Beauty and the Beast.
It was a secret for us nerds. All of us nerds would go hang out in these areas where no one else was. And we'd have air conditioning breaks. We would, talk and hang out and then...
We talk about nerdy things and then we go back in the heat. All right. I think we're ready.
I have one more.
I mean, I could go in and pull more, but
this might be the number one thing we had as far as people like commenting and getting back to us on stuff. There were so many. I have one more here. Borgman.Jennifer said, Spaceship Earth is a huge disappointment. The outside is iconic. The inside is dated and sad.
Sad. Well, in fairness, it's definitely dated.
Yeah.
Like there is some that's true.
Now they were supposed to redo it, right? Like they came out and they said they were going to do it and they were going to get a
new narrator.
Every so often, they get a new narrator and all that kind of stuff. But that has seemed to have fallen by the wayside. My guess is because so much of Epcot was already under construction, they put that on hold. But I would bet they're probably going to update that soon.
Eventually. Well, even like the technology has obviously come a lot farther than the giant 80s room of a computer. So I'll be curious how they update it. Again, it's a nostalgic. That is where my love for it. I have never not ridden it. If we've ever, like, usually we'll be leaving the park. I'm like, no, I have to ride Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, as we're going out, like, it's only a 5-minute wait. Let's just do it.
And like back when we didn't go as often as we do, and it wasn't a part of our jobs, that was one of the rides I would think about at home, or like when I'd be teaching and it'd be like my lunch break, and I'd be like, oh, I wish I were on Spaceship Earth right now, in the caveman scene or whatever. And
there was something nostalgic too, because when we would go, I swear, for whatever reason, we always did Epcot on our first day, and it was always the first thing we rode. So, like, I remember waking up at, like, 4 o'clock in the morning before our 6 a.m. flight, well, probably even earlier, and, like, getting to the airport and be like, I can't believe, like, in a couple hours I'm going to be on Spaceship Earth, man. It's going to be so cool.
Oh, it's going to be rad, man. But, hey, speaking of, like, educational things at Epcot, that one is educational. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the ones they've held true. So, hopefully, if they do redo it, they update parts of it that definitely need it, but that they would keep. I think they would.
Yeah.
I'm sure and certainly they're not going to redo the track. I mean, there's no way that would just be more work than it's worth for, probably little payoff, little change. So,
all right, ready for
you guys want to hear our tepid takes?
How many do you have? Mine are not
I
great.
have 4. Okay. No, your guys' are way better. That's just it. Like ours kind of stink.
Okay.
But they're our tepid takes.
Okay, you go ahead and then I...
Okay, well, this one I've talked about before. No surprise. And I did see a few people mention this. Dole Whip and Mickey bars. Absolutely overrated. Could probably go the rest of my life without getting them.
Yeah, we talked about this in the last episode.
That's what I'm saying. So I didn't want to dwell on it too long.
Dole Whip, the Mickey bars, the Mickey pretzels, you know, with their room temperature cheese, and they're over salted but also no flavor.
And somehow also no salt. Like
yeah. And I also am not going to talk about, speaking of that, La Cava del Tequila, because I've talked about it several times. And I've yet to see any changes on their behavior.
Oh, the turntables.
So those are the ones. And then the other one I've already talked about is Beauty and the Beast in Hollywood Studios. So I'm not going to dwell on that one because I don't think it's very good. And I want them to change it, make it better. So I'm not going to dwell on those. I just wanted to bring them up again. So maybe they'll do something about it.
No, I disagree with you. Leave Beauty and the Beast alone. It is the 90s, dress up. The music's correct. Maybe change the Beast growl. Okay, go ahead. Here's my next tepid take.
Okay.
Jungle Cruise?
That's not surprising. You've never liked Jungle Cruise.
No, I really haven't. I'm not miserable riding it, but we go many trips without riding Jungle Cruise. Because again, you're usually waiting, especially since the movie came out a few years ago. That line is weirdly long.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think I'd rather wait and ride Peter Pan than Jungle Cruise.
Yeah. Wow. See, for me, it's all about the skipper. If you have a good skipper, but the problem is they do the same thing, 8 hours a day. They do 500 rides a day. So they just kind of go through the motions a lot of times. But if you have somebody who's not going through the motions,
that transforms
the ride.
But really more often than not.
Yeah. And it's the same with the safari in Animal Kingdom. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? There's those people who just sort of make it magical and really kind of bring it to life. And then there's other ones that are okay, there's a zebra. Okay, moving on,
Yeah. And those are similar vibes. And I think another reason I always feel a little I don't really want to ride it is because it's a commitment in time. Because it's a longer ride, which is nice. I mean, if you're going to wait, it's nice to have a longer ride. But you are trapped there. And a lot of times, especially with young kids, I'm if one of them's crying, this is it. We ain't getting off. Everyone's got to deal with the crying baby. Yeah, that's a sidebar. But yeah, I can take or leave Jungle Cruise.
All right. I've got one that really makes me mad. I'll save that one for the last one. We'll go to this one. So, Tron was not worth the wait.
The wait of not waiting in line,
6 years
building.
or whatever, how long they were building it. Wasn't worth it. Now, I'm glad that it's there. I'm glad that it's it's a big people eater. So a lot of people are riding in that kind of stuff and kind of gets people out of other areas of the park. But I think because we waited so long for it, I liked it. And I really liked riding in the front. But I don't think it was worth this 6 years, 10 years, however long it took of construction and, the train not working and this, that, and the other to get to this point.
Let me ask you this. If that had come out before Guardians of the Galaxy, I think you would have felt differently.
Yes,
I guess that wasn't a question, just a statement.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that, but I do think because Guardians is so cool, and I do think it's better and more thrilling, but Tron is a really cool ride.
It is. It's a great ride.
I'm excited to ride it again.
But it just took so long, and I think the hype was so built up that I was a little bit let down. But I've only ridden it once, so I do want to go ride it again.
Well, we will be riding it again, and I will be waiting for the front because I want to feel that. I thought it was really fun.
Yeah, I know it was fun, but it was not worth the hype of 10 decades of.
That wasn't a tepid take. That was a hot take.
No. But I have hotter takes. Oh. We're getting hotter and hotter.
Okay, let's start with this one. Okay. What was the name of that kite show in Animal Kingdom?
Kite Tales.
Woo! Kite Tales was awesome, and I cannot believe it did not last. Everyone online made fun of it. They had to take the blue kites down just by launching them into the steps and then just dragging them off. I loved that show.
I did too.
Absolutely loved it. It was thrilling. It was exciting, different. Yeah. Kids loved it too.
It made me so
happy. And everyone else hated it. Yeah. We loved it. That's all. That's my tepid take.
I have nothing else to add to that. It was great. Bring it back. Loved it.
It was 90s in its own way. It was weird. And I loved it.
Old school entertainment. There was no technology to it. It's
clearly not.
Kites and wave runners and joy.
And no hiding the weirdness of we got to get them down somehow. We'll just let them fall and then we'll just drag them off.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Trading pins. I don't find them to be fun. We have a few pins that we bought over the years.
Yeah, but we've got a pin binder.
When I buy a pin, I'm it's because it's got meaning to me or something like that. But you see people trading pins like that. That holds no interest to me at all. I don't get the trading pins thing because I'm like, well,
I don't want to trade one pen I like. Yeah. So that's what's been happening for years and years is that people just buy packs of like cheap pins online. So then all the pins that are being traded for are just more cheap pins. It used to be that you were like getting legitimate, really good Disney pins every once in a while. And maybe that's what it is. The hunt for like actually finding a good pin that someone traded. But generally, you know.
It's always like, I don't know, little dinky ones that I don't want. Yeah. And it's just like, I'm like, it adds a whole layer of complication to your trip and stuff.
I wonder if Genevieve, as she gets older, and Felicity, will get into that.
Yeah. And plus then you have to carry them around with you and they're heavy and you got to do a lanyard and stuff like that.
Oh, hey, we got the stroller, baby.
Yeah, that's true.
I do love the stroller. Okay. My last hot take is that the Grand Floridian lobby is ugly. And we've talked about it. I feel like the first times we ever saw it, I was like, wow, it's so grand. But I remember that very first time thinking, huh. Like, this is the most exclusive, like, nice resort. And the fact that they were redoing it, and again, I know we've already talked about this.
Did we talk about this in a podcast?
I think so. Yes, we did.
Okay.
And how they were redoing it, and I'm like, perfect. Like, maybe replace the chandelier. It looks a little weird. It's always looked weird. Maybe the carpets that are mismatched. It's exactly the same. They're done. And it's the same.
I don't know what they did.
Is it cleaner? I guess.
Because in my head, I'm like looking at like what the whole idea behind the resort was. You know, it's set in the 1920s or something like that, and it's supposed to be, you know, Florida at the turn of the century, give or take. And I'm like, okay, I get all that. So like, I totally get the aesthetic they were going for. But I'm like looking at like what they did at Enchanted Rose. I'm like, okay, so like they're updating it. They're still keeping it opulent and still keeping it like really beautiful, but they're going to kind of update the lobby. I'm like, I get that.
Yeah. Because I get keeping with the theme.
Right, exactly. And so I actually liked the old theme. But I was like, all right, I am on board with them making it nice and new. Because we do get a decent amount of complaints. People are like, oh, you know, when the new rooms are so nice. And I kind of thought they were going to take a similar aesthetic in the lobby. I'm like, okay, it's time. I get it. I'm on board. I thought it was an April Fool's Day joke when they released the photos. I'm like...
Just look up if you haven't seen. Look up before and after photos.
They took like 3 months, lobby, and like you could see the pictures of construction. They took all the carpet out. Like I was like, all right, so we're getting some new stuff.
They were like copy paste, same carpet, no stains this time.
And they were like no birdcage anymore. I'm like, is that what we were doing?
that long?
Yeah, I was a bit flabbergasted by that. And looking at like what they did at Yacht Club, I was like. They did an amazing job of making that, you know, still so nice, but like updating it and that kind of stuff. I'm like, all right, I am on board for them doing this at Grand Floridian. They didn't do
Disney said, just
not
kidding.
A darn thing did they do to that lobby.
I'm so curious.
I'm excited to see it in person. Maybe
we're wrong. You let us know what you think. Okay, those are all my takes.
Okay, I've got 2 more. Carousel of Progress needs a major update.
Oh, wow.
Like it needs to go down for a year and they need to completely redo it.
Well, just the last scene or just add on a scene. You can't redo the old scene. You can't redo the old scenes.
I think you need to cut one of those scenes.
I will fight this tooth and nail, and here's why. That is a historic piece.
Sure,
think about it. Obviously they've updated a lot, do whatever, but those ones like that this should almost just be in a museum. Like, let's stop touching it. No, I'm kidding. I want to still write it, but...
What I'm thinking is, you know, keep the scenes where they are, but maybe, you know, take the third scene and move it to the second scene and do it like every 40 years instead of, what is it, every 20 years right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously like, you know, it goes like 1910s, 1920s, 1930s, 1980s.
Yeah.
Something crazy.
So just sort of rework it a little bit. So it's, you know, you have that, but then... do a new scene at the end and kind of rework it a little bit.
Here's what I think. You do it Ellen's Energy Adventure style, have the entire audience all of a sudden, by the time you're almost to the end, the entire audience turns and it moves forward into a new building where they do more updated.
Okay. I could get on board with that. Here's the other thing though. The new version they did, I don't even know how long it's been, when they switched the music to like the banjo picking... Get rid of that. Go back to the old orchestral version of it where it's this big, beautiful band and like do the grandeur of what it used to be as opposed to...
Well, there's a great, big, beautiful...
So it needs to go backwards in time and forwards in time.
Wow, you got a lot of requests. And then through a splash of Ellen's Energy Adventure.
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden...
This makes the most sense to me.
And everyone moves into the new building.
Yeah.
Honestly...
All right. we have the technology.
Ideas. Well, just know we will not always be this negative.
No, hold on, I have one more. That was my second to last.
Okay,
this is my
take
actual.
It back.
This is my actual. Like this actually makes me mad.
Oh,
like because the rest of them are kind of fun. This is my one that actually makes me mad. Disney needs water bottle filling stations. They claim to be all about the wildlife. They have the wildlife fund. They claim to be all into, doing the right thing for the environment and all that kind of stuff. That is the number one easiest thing they can do. But they charge like $6 for a Dasani bottle of water. They got to stop doing that. They need to stop using bottles of water. They need water bottle filling stations everywhere you have a water fountain. Like, that is the number one easiest thing they can do to show that they actually care about the environment.
Well, and here's what kills me. You're right. I've never really thought that deeply about it, but you're right. You can get free water at any time from any of their quick service. So it's not like they would charge you. If you said, can I get some ice water? They will give it to you.
Yeah.
No questions asked. We've done it numerous times and just poured it into our water bottle. But at that point, you're wasting the cast members' time, etc. Whereas if they just invest in, everywhere you go in the world, every airport, like everyone's got water bottle filling stations. It is wild that Disney World, and it's because, I assume, because they're making money from water bottles.
Well, that's exactly it. Because they're making
the upsell on that.
Because, they probably buy them at 10 cents a pop and then sell them for $5 or $6. Yeah. And so it's...
And people you buy them like crazy because you need to stay hydrated. It's like a million degrees there.
Yeah. And so that's one thing that, that actually bothers me. Like, Disney needs to get on that.
Well, and especially since, let's just
put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah. Put their water where the heat is. But, it's so hot, too. So, heat exhaustion is a very real thing there, and it's wild that even just for that reason, they haven't done it.
And so many families can't afford to eat in the parks. They're stretching their budget to even go. So then to ask them to pay $6 for a bottle of water is just greedy, in my opinion. And so that's one thing that's like an easy thing for them to show. Okay, we're serious about this.
Yeah.
And
Disney.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'm like, it actually bothers me.
Okay.
I know. Anyway, so we're not going to be negative anymore.
Yes, you guys know us. Maybe some of you guys are hearing this for the first time. And you're like, "Geez, who are they? This is negative Nancy." We are pretty positive people. This is a very positive podcast, but it's important, I think, to talk about these things and also just differences in opinion, which is just fun.
Yeah, and there's obviously some people think Enchantment is better, and
they're wrong.
They're wrong. Okay. It's okay that they're wrong, but.
We love you guys. We so appreciate you guys participating. If you are not following us on our Instagram, it is at Disneyville Podcast.
Yeah.
We also have a blog post if you want to see more about the hot takes or any past episodes. Like last episode was our top 10 snacks in Disney World, and we each had our own list. So if you want to see that, we have a blog post that goes along with it as well, where you can kind of see it. Maybe you're going to the parks and you're like, oh, I want to reference.
Yeah.
I do that. I'll take screenshots from blogs for ideas and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and I'm excited because this, like I said, this is our, hopefully, knock on wood, knock on fake wood, the one time that we'll be in this sort of weird space. But I'm excited for you guys to see in the future the ideas that I have kind of for the background here and stuff like that. I think it's going to be really cool.
I do too.
So
we're going to have to buy more Disney memorabilia.
I don't know. We've got
a lot. But I'm going to want more.
Actually displayed correctly. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited for how it's going to turn out.
Yeah, me too. So I think that's it.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks for episode 18. Do we know what we're doing yet?
Well, we've got a list. We just got to pick. Okay.
All right. Exciting. See you guys soon.
Bye. Guys.